So we've already heard today, that conventional TV and new connected TV, online video are becoming closer together, certainly at the consumption end, but I guess now also at the ad buying, the ad planning end. What is, as that happens, what does that amalgamation look like? What should it look like? And what's Videology doing to help?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think a couple of people said throughout today that a lot of the introductions of technology have been intentionally quite disruptive. I think, which is bringing in and kind of exploding existing ways of working and things. And I think one of the things we're seeing, especially as screens come together, is largely that a lot of kind of the best breed techniques and approaches from the television world and the best of breed approaches from the digital world are actually combining for the first time. So you're seeing things like people talking about the importance of OCR ratings techniques coming in, where you're also seeing addressability, which is very much the purview of the traditional digital space. So you're really kind of seeing it come together. And it's really, from our experience, a lot of the DNA of our company is in the performance display space from former businesses we've run. And it's very different, extremely different. And you never really have seen that kind of convergence of the best of breed from both things ever happen before in our knowledge.
So, online desktop video, eminently addressable, everything that happens in the web browser, much of it can be targeted, not so much on devices, maybe not even as much on connected TV screens in the lounge. How do we square that circle, crack that nut?
It's interesting. I think publishers have a much bigger role to play in this one than ever before. I think it's generally a safe assumption that ad tech in general has been a net negative for the publishing community. I don't actually think it has helped them as much as it should. And I actually think this is one of those opportunities which they have a unique position that in many cases the demand side doesn't have. You need to look no further than Google's privacy policy or Amazon or Facebook to see that when you have authentication data and you can actually look across devices, you have an incredibly powerful way to target people across devices, not only in basic frequency capping things, but actually looking at those audiences across different devices. We, as was referenced earlier, acquired a company over the summer who does that exact thing, who really targets, a company called Collider Media that helps us to target across devices, know whether it is you or a unidentifiable characteristic of you across any of your devices and follow you and stage messages, deliver more bottom of the funnel performance based messages at the right time versus broad based high funnel awareness things.
So internet plus conventional TV equals connected TV or IPTV in the home, but when you look at these many TVs now are shipping with these internet functions built in, but you look at the data, not many people are plugging them in and accessing these features. Does that mean that ad buyers should, there's not necessarily a panic to look at addressing the consumer on the connected TV screen in the lounge? Is it a case of keep calm and carry on?
I think it's a keep calm and participate, but don't kind of make a mad rush at something that is still developing. I mean, our experience, and this is true of our experience in the mobile space, our experience in the tablet space, our experience in the connected television space is not making a huge deal out of it is the best thing in the world. That's revolutionizing the way we've always worked is probably a better approach. In the case of what we do with connected televisions for our clients, the case of what we do with mobile and tablet, we actually are allocating a portion of our advertising holding company clients' spending to those things today. And it's a way of saying that you can get smarter about it and grow it over time. And so those things end up making 5 or 10% of the spending allocations we do every day. But it's not like we're going out and starting a new company that's called addressabletelevision.com and trying to kind of reinvent the world. Instead, we're actually trying to migrate from what we do best, which is taking television spending and shifting it into digital channels and making sure we're as agnostic to those channels as we can be.
So then, video advertising to the connected TV screen, what's the real opportunity there? Is it just about the addressability or targetability and just in a conventional 30-second format, or are we going to be needing to look at new formats on that screen?
I don't know. I think with any new media, generally the theme that you go through is it replicates the one before it identically, and then people learn as they go on how it actually should perform. There were some discussions about mobile today, and mobile has been replication of display. Banner ads were a replication of outdoor. The original TV ads were a replication of guys reading commercials on radio. I think it's going to have to go through that evolution. I don't think, my gut says it's not a big performance media. It is more kind of high funnel stuff. But we're seeing more and more that, as you are able to purchase, as you are able to kind of link up connected televisions with digital wallet technologies, as second screen type technologies start to bring those things together, it has the potential. I think the next 3-4 years is kind of the connectivity of those devices, whether it's an internet connection, as you suggested, or your traditional cable company, or an Apple TV, or other over-the-top solutions kind of start to build a patchwork where there is really broad coverage of those things. I think that's where you'll see that innovation. And that's why, you know, startups and innovators and venture capital are so fantastic, because I don't know what that solution is going to be, but I bet there are 3 or 4 really good companies going to be dueling it out in about a year's time.
Within Videology, you have oversight of the international aspect of the business. So then how do you see different countries, different territories play out in this sector? We know they're saying that the future is not evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Who's ahead, who's behind, how's it evolving in different parts of the world?
It's, I think the general notion when we first started our international business almost 3 years ago was markets outside the US were 18 to 24 months kind of behind what we were seeing in the US. The only thing we're seeing is it's compressing, and it now starts to feel like 6 to 9 months. Some of the innovations are moving out very quickly. I would say different markets, the big difference we see is the sources of distribution. So in the US, you would see people, even within our own business, who are kind of subject matter experts in things like mobile or tablets or connected televisions. When we go to Asia, you know, the majority of our distribution of our video assets for our clients, television advertising isn't morphing its way into PCs, it's morphing its way into mobile. And so it kind of becomes a weird backwards path in terms of how we kind of prioritize what we're doing. In markets across Europe, it tends to be very PC driven. It really is kind of a different thing by different markets.
Okay, maybe let's open it out now to Norm, Casper, and Ian. Do any of you guys want to take issue or align with anything Ryan just said?
No, I mean, I you know, running a business across EMEA, I'd agree with the comment about the fact that this is developing at different rates around the regions. I mean, we have some markets where, you know, video is now a hugely important part of our business, and people are using programmatic ways of buying video to complement other ways of buying video and buying TV very, very effectively. And I think it's, you know, that way of audience buying is translating very easily. But markets like Spain and Italy. But I'd also say, you know, some markets are also sort of further ahead. Like, you know, as Ryan said, maybe the banner advertising piece never picked up as much, and so they're grasping at video actually as a more effective way of doing advertising, especially on mobile platforms, for example, because they've never really embraced banner advertising on mobiles in the first place. So it's sort of skipped an iteration almost of the ways of doing things and finding better ways of using a platform with a format.
Yeah, go ahead, Norm.
It really varies. It does, and you lose sight of that because we sit here in the UK and you have one discussion around connected TV and smart TV, and then you go to Bulgaria, and you know the proverbial Mary Meeker chart comes out around consumption of media and the spend level. So it's a much more basic debate within some of those markets. So it really does vary and the mobile. The situation in China is unbelievable. I mean, just the acceleration of mobile is tremendous. So in that particular market, it's a very different discussion around mobile and very small screens. So it does vary quite a bit. It really does.
Ian, I mean, Enders is typically bearish on many sectors of media evolution. Where
it's
in the
much
UK,
worse than you think. That's a sort of rallying cry. I think it's very hard to say one size fits all. The first point is TV viewing, as everybody has said, is in very robust health. But a lot of that is driven by older age groups. So the over 35s, who represent about 2/3 of viewing, actually represent a growing share of the population, particularly in countries like the US and UK. And that's really sustaining, or in part anyway, sustaining the TV advertising market. You know, the eyeballs are still there. But for younger people particularly, we're seeing some real change in, you know, how they discover, how they access and how they view TV and video content. I think some Nielsen data suggests that in the US about 10%, the online video consumption is now about 10% of TV viewing in the US, and it's pretty similar in the UK. And we're seeing some other markets like China, you know, developing even more quickly with you know, with mobile and tablet devices adding to that. So I think we're going to see, you know, different audiences developing in different ways, and that's going to be reflected in the advertising market.